The International Residential Code IRC Section R311.66 addresses stairway headroom. It states that stairway headroom shall be not less than 6 feet 8 inches, which is 20-32 millimeters, measured vertically from the nose of the tread to the underside of the nearest projection. This means that from the edge of each step, you need to have a clear vertical space of at least 6 feet 8 inches to anything above it. In a situation where wall lights are installed at 6 feet 11 inches to the center of the fixture, but the light itself hands down to below 6 feet 6 inches, the lowest point of the light fixture is in violation of the 6 feet 8 inches head clearance requirement. The reason for this code is to ensure that people walking on the stairs have enough space to move without hitting their heads. This includes not only the height of the treads and risers, but also any obstructions hanging from the ceiling or walls, such as light fixtures. To comply with the code, the wall lights need to be raised so that their lowest point is at least 6 feet 8 inches above the nose of the tread. This can be done by moving the lights higher on the wall or by using shorter light fixtures. If raising the lights isn't possible, here are a few alternative solutions. Firstly, recessed lighting can be used. Recessed lights are mounted flush with the ceiling or wall, eliminating any obstruction to the required head clearance. Secondly, increasing the width of the stairway can provide additional headroom if the wall lights can be placed further away from the treads. Thirdly, installing a handrail may be an option. The inspector may allow the wall lights to remain in place if a handrail is installed along the wall to prevent people from walking into the lights. The core issue is the violation of the IRC 2003 requirement for a minimum 6 feet 8 inches head clearance in stairways, which dictates that the lights must be raised or removed. To reiterate the key points, firstly, understanding the headroom clearance requirements of the IRC code is crucial. This code mandates a minimum of 6 feet 8 inches of clear vertical space from the nose of each step to any overhead obstruction. Secondly, identifying potential violations in the placement of wall lights is essential. If the lowest point of a light fixture falls below the required 6 feet 8 inches, it constitutes a code violation regardless of the fixture's center height. Thirdly, knowing how to rectify non-compliant lighting installations is important. The primary solution is to raise the lights so that their lowest point meets or exceeds the minimum headroom requirement. Finally, alternative solutions can be explored if raising the lights isn't feasible. These solutions include using recessed lighting, increasing stairway width, or installing handrails to mitigate the risk of impact. In addition to these points, it is important to consider the specific dimensions and layout of the staircase. The height of each step, the overall width of the staircase, and the placement of the wall lights all play a role in determining whether a code violation exists. Furthermore, it's important to consider the type of light fixture being used. Some light fixtures may protrude further from the wall than others, which can affect the amount of headroom available. When evaluating code compliance, consider the following points. 1. Measure the vertical distance from the nose of the tread to the lowest point of the light fixture. 2. Compare this measurement to the minimum headroom requirement of 6 feet 8 inches. 3. If the measurement is less than 6 feet 8 inches, a code violation exists. 4. Determine whether the lights can be raised to meet the minimum headroom requirement. 5. If raising the lights is not feasible, explore alternative solutions such as recessed lighting, increased stairway width, or handrail installation. 6. Consult with a qualified electrician or building inspector to ensure that the chosen solution complies with all applicable codes and regulations. 7. Document all measurements and code references to support the decision-making process. 8. Consider the aesthetic impact of any changes to the lighting or stairway layout. 9. Prioritize safety when making decisions about lighting and stairway design. 10. Ensure that the lighting provides adequate illumination for safe navigation of the stairway. Furthermore, it is important to consider the accessibility requirements of the Americans with Disabilities Act. DA set standards for accessibility in public accommodations and commercial facilities, including requirements for stairway design and lighting. While the ADA primarily applies to commercial and public spaces, it is a good practice to consider ADA guidelines when designing residential stairways as well. Here are some A considerations for stairway lighting. Firstly, ensure that the lighting provides adequate illumination for safe navigation of the stairway, especially for individuals with visual impairment. Secondly, avoid glare and shadows that can create hazards or make it difficult to see the steps. Thirdly, use lighting controls that are easy to operate and accessible to individuals with disabilities. Fourthly, consider the use of tactile signage to indicate the location of stairways and other accessible features. Fifthly, provide clear and consistent lighting throughout the stairway to help individuals with disabilities orient themselves. Sixthly, consider the use of motion sensor lighting to conserve energy and provide automatic illumination when someone approaches the stairway. Seventhly, ensure that the lighting is properly maintained and that bulbs are replaced promptly to avoid dim or flickering lights. Eighthly, consult with an A specialist or accessibility consultant to ensure that the stairway design and lighting meet all applicable requirements. Ninthly, document all A considerations and design decisions to demonstrate compliance with accessibility standards. Tenthly, prioritize accessibility when making decisions about stairway design and lighting. When dealing with electrical work, it's important to follow safety guidelines and best practices. Firstly, always turn off the power to the circuit you're working on at the breaker box. Secondly, use insulated tools to prevent electrical shock. Thirdly, wear safety glasses to protect your eyes from debris. Fourthly, never work on electrical systems when you are wet or standing in water. Fifthly, double-check all connections to ensure they are tight and secure. Sixthly, follow the manufacturer's instructions for all electrical equipment and components. Seventhly, if you are not comfortable working with electricity, hire a qualified electrician. Eighthly, obtain the necessary permits and inspections for any electrical work you perform. Ninthly, keep a fire extinguisher nearby in case of electrical fires. Tenthly, familiarize yourself with local electrical codes and regulations. The electrical codes are essential for ensuring the safety and reliability of electrical systems. These codes provide detailed requirements for the installation, maintenance, and repair of electrical wiring and equipment. Following electrical codes helps prevent electrical shocks, fires, and other hazards. Electrical codes are typically developed and enforced by local, state, or national authorities. The National Electrical Code, or NEC, is a widely adopted standard in the United States. It is updated every 3 years to reflect changes in technology and best practices. Understanding electrical codes is crucial for anyone working with electricity, including electricians, contractors, and homeowners. The electrical codes cover a wide range of topics, including wiring methods, overcurrent protection, grounding, and equipment installation. They also address specific requirements for different types of occupancies, such as residential, commercial, and industrial buildings. To ensure compliance with electrical codes, firstly, obtain a copy of the applicable code for your area. Secondly, familiarize yourself with the code requirements for the specific type of electrical work you are performing. Thirdly, follow the code requirements carefully during installation, maintenance, and repair. Fourthly, use approved materials and equipment that meet code standards. Fifthly, obtain the necessary permits and inspections for any electrical work you perform. Sixthly, consult with a qualified electrician or building inspector if you have questions about code compliance. Seventhly, keep records of all electrical work performed, including permits, inspections, and materials used. Eighthly, stay up to date on changes to the electrical code to ensure continued compliance. Ninthly, report any electrical hazards or code violations to the appropriate authorities. Tenthly, prioritize safety and code compliance when working with electricity. Additionally, grounding is a critical safety measure in electrical systems. Grounding provides a path for fault current to flow back to the source, tripping the circuit breaker or fuse and preventing electrical shock. Grounding also helps stabilize voltage levels and reduce electrical noise. A properly grounded electrical system is essential for protecting people and equipment from electrical hazards. Grounding systems typically consist of a grounding electrode, such as a ground rod or metal water pipe, connected to the electrical panel and equipment grounding conductors. The equipment grounding conductors provide a path for fault current to flow back to the panel, while the grounding electrode provides a connection to the earth. Grounding requirements are specified in electrical codes, such as the National Electrical Code. These codes outline the types of grounding electrodes that are permitted, the size of grounding conductors required, and the methods for connecting grounding conductors to equipment. To ensure proper grounding, firstly, install a grounding electrode that meets code requirements. Secondly, connect the grounding electrode to the electrical panel with a grounding electrode conductor. Thirdly, run equipment grounding conductors with all branch circuits and feeders. Fourthly, connect equipment grounding conductors to all metal enclosures, such as electrical boxes and equipment housings. Fifthly, test the grounding system to ensure it is functioning properly. Sixthly, maintain the grounding system by periodically inspecting connections and replacing corroded components. Seventhly, do not rely on the neutral conductor for grounding purposes. Eighthly, do not remove or disable grounding conductors. Ninthly, consult with a qualified electrician if you have questions about grounding. Tenthly, prioritize grounding safety when working with electricity. And overcurrent protection is another essential safety feature in electrical systems. Overcurrent protection devices, such as circuit breakers and fuses, are designed to interrupt the flow of current when it exceeds a safe level. This helps prevent overheating, fires, and equipment damage. Overcurrent protection devices are rated in amps, which indicates the maximum current they can carry before tripping. Circuit breakers are resettable devices that trip when an overcurrent condition occurs. Fuses are one-time devices that melt and open the circuit when an overcurrent condition occurs. The overcurrent protection requirements are specified in electrical codes, such as the National Electrical Code. These codes outline the types of overcurrent protection devices that are permitted, the ampacity of conductors required, and the methods for installing overcurrent protection devices. To ensure proper overcurrent protection, firstly, select overcurrent protection devices that are properly rated for the circuit they are protecting. Secondly, install overcurrent protection devices in readily accessible locations. Thirdly, protect conductors from overcurrent by using properly sized circuit breakers or fuses. Fourthly, do not bypass or disable overcurrent protection devices. Fifthly, replace overcurrent protection devices that have tripped repeatedly or are damaged. Sixthly, test overcurrent protection devices periodically to ensure they are functioning properly. Seventhly, label overcurrent protection devices clearly to indicate the circuits they protect. Eighthly, do not use pennies or other conductive materials to replace fuses. Ninthly, consult with a qualified electrician if you have questions about overcurrent protection. Tenthly, prioritize overcurrent protection safety when working with electricity. Also consider arc fault circuit interrupters or arc fault circuit interrupter protection. Arc fault circuit interrupters or arc fault circuit interrupter are advanced circuit breakers that are designed to detect and interrupt arc faults. Arc faults are dangerous electrical conditions that can cause fires. They occur when electricity jumps between two conductors, creating a high temperature arc. Arc fault circuit interrupters are required in many areas of the home, including bedrooms, living rooms, and dining rooms. They provide an additional layer of protection against electrical fires. Arc fault circuit interrupters work by monitoring the electrical current for abnormal patterns that indicate an arc fault. When an arc fault is detected, the arc fault circuit interrupter trips the circuit breaker, interrupting the flow of electricity and preventing a fire. Arc fault circuit interrupters are more sensitive than traditional circuit breakers and can detect arc faults that would not be detected by a standard circuit breaker. Arc fault circuit interrupters are required by the National Electrical Code in many new homes and renovations. They are an important safety feature that can help prevent electrical fires and protect lives. To ensure proper arc fault circuit interrupter protection, firstly, install arc fault circuit interrupters in all areas of the home where they are required by code. Secondly, test arc fault circuit interrupters monthly to ensure they are functioning properly. Thirdly, replace arc fault circuit interrupters that have tripped repeatedly or are damaged. Fourthly, do not bypass or disable arc fault circuit interrupters. Fifthly, consult with a qualified electrician if you have questions about arc fault circuit interrupters. Sixthly, prioritize arc fault circuit interrupter protection safety when working with electricity. Remember, working with electricity can be dangerous, and it is always best to consult with a qualified electrician if you have any questions or concerns. Proper planning and execution will help ensure a safe and code-compliant electrical installation. Lastly, electrical panel maintenance is an important aspect of ensuring the safety and reliability of your home's electrical system. The electrical panel is the central hub for distributing electricity throughout your home, and it's important to keep it in good working order. Electrical panels should be inspected regularly for signs of damage, corrosion, or loose connections. The panel cover should be securely fastened to prevent accidental contact with live wires. Circuit breakers should be labeled clearly to indicate the circuits they protect. Over time, circuit breakers can become worn or damaged, and they may need to be replaced. It's also important to keep the area around the electrical panel clear of obstructions, such as boxes or furniture. This will ensure that you have easy access to the panel in case of an emergency. Electrical panel maintenance should be performed by a qualified electrician. They have the knowledge and experience to identify potential problems and make necessary repairs. To ensure proper electrical panel maintenance, firstly, schedule regular inspections of the electrical panel by a qualified electrician. Secondly, keep the panel cover securely fastened. Thirdly, label circuit breakers clearly. Fourthly, replace worn or damaged circuit breakers. Fifthly, keep the area around the panel clear of obstructions. Sixthly, do not attempt to repair the electrical panel yourself unless you are a qualified electrician. Seventhly, if you notice any signs of damage or corrosion, contact an electrician immediately. Eighthly, prioritize electrical panel maintenance safety when working with electricity. Understanding these concepts is essential for ensuring electrical safety.